Right, we've got Loz in the building. There's been loads of chat this week, I think, about Florian Wirtz, hasn't there? You know, he arrived for a big fee. There's been question marks about how he's integrated into this Liverpool side, and there's been question marks about quite a few of the summer signings so far this season. So today we thought we would assess how each of them have done across the first 6 games and look ahead a little bit, right, Carl? What's the plan?
Right, we've picked the biggest signings and we're asking both of you to assess the transfer overall. That can include fee, performances so far and what you think they can do moving ahead as well. And we'll rank them from A through to E. A's the best grade, E's the lowest. Loz, where are we starting?
Well, the big signing of the summer. One of the big signings of the summer, probably say. The second big signing of the summer, Alexander Isak. I don't know. Context is going to be so key, and we said this, didn't we? I don't know if we've seen enough of him to say he's low on the grid, but I also don't know if we've seen enough of him to say he's an A.
So where would you have had him when he first signed?
A.
Yeah.
Because he's
and has anything changed? Maybe the Ekitike move, the positional sense of how does he fit into it? Has anything changed across the first 6 games to think it would be dropped down?
I don't think, not from my perspective, and not as a Liverpool fan, but I think we're obviously going to give as much time as possible. So I'm more than willing to hear from someone else who's outside the club, sort of going, where's the goal every game? Where's the assist? I think that's
I'm what not people
do. We're close to seeing it, though, Zach.
Yeah,
right?
I think that, look, we've also, it's not like, say with Florian Wirtz, we've not seen him in the Premier League before, have we? Isak, we've seen him dominating the league for Newcastle. He's being spoken about as one of the best strikers in the world. And I have kind of no doubts that he'll get there, really. I think the bigger question is whether you think the fee that they ended up paying, one of the biggest fees ever, obviously the biggest in the Premier League, adds more weight towards that. But I kind of feel like give it 6 months, once Liverpool kind of found their system, gone through the adaptation period at the moment, we'll end up looking at Isak leading that line and just being, again, one of the best strikers in the league.
I would say keeping it in A, mainly because I think, I hate to say it, I don't think Salah is going to be around, obviously, forever at Liverpool. I think this is the planning towards that era. And for that reason, I think bedding them in now, rather than waiting until Salah's gone, makes it A.
Okay.
Next up.
The man who kind of prompted this debate, I suppose, Flo Wirtz. Obviously, some people online, I think a little bit unfairly, personally, have been after him, haven't they, so far this season? What have you seen so far that may change your mind in terms of ranking?
With resisting sounding like a cliche, some of the stuff he does off-ball and a lot of his movement, I think, is great. And I think there are times where you look at Liverpool's flow and some of the best moves we've had and the peak of what Liverpool are doing, and you go, a lot of it looks like it goes through him or has an influence from him. That is where I think you rank him highly. Where you would say he's been poor is I don't think he's adapted to the physicality so far.
Yeah,
and the physicality has been a real issue for him. I think he's almost been surprised by how quickly he's been pushed off the ball and then not been able to win it back with the ease that I think was there. And frankly, I think you're looking at a player who's a little bit in his own head and needs a few people around him who I imagine have probably already said this. Just play your game, and it's not about, as Slot said, the first 6 weeks. It's about the 6 years that you're going to be at the club.
Zach, looking at the fee, looking at all the negativity that's been now linked to that and with the performances so far, do you think it's fair?
I can understand what, especially as a rival fan, right? If you're not a fan of Liverpool and you've seen them sign several guys for so much money, you are going to jump on the fact that one of them isn't performing anywhere near as well as what should be expected, especially because beforehand, all these people would have heard of Florian Wirtz as this super exciting youngster, one of the most highly rated guys out there, kind of the future of Germany, always being spoken about. So I can see why rival fans are happily jumping onto his back. And he is struggling. I think you are right. The physicality is definitely finding it difficult. And again, there are so many changes to the Liverpool side with the right-back situation, with Trent leaving and Frimpong or Szoboszlai there, with the front line completely changing. You got to remember when Slot came in last season, the squad was almost set. The foundation was there from Jurgen Klopp. He was able just to add a little bit of his magic. Now there's going to be so many more players coming in and changes happening. I personally feel like just with maybe how tough it's been to the start so far, we'd be looking more towards CB right now. I feel like sticking him up in A just for how it started, maybe a little bit too...
Happy with that, Loz?
I want to hear from Joe.
I think personally, he would have arrived as an A.
Yeah, 100%.
Just in terms of the system and his fit because of that midfield three and how it's changed, I would maybe now have him as a B, but that's just my personal opinion. This is your guys' tier list, so where are you going to have him?
I think B's fair.
Do you know
fair,
what? Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I agree. I think B's correct.
Yep.
But I think if we're talking about the amount of money Liverpool have spent and the expectation that comes with it, then you would, for sensational list-making perspective, put
Stick him in C.
Now, next up, this is non-negotiable for me. Straight A's.
Get him in
all
there.
day. This guy is the star of the class, as far as I'm concerned.
What a start he's had.
What an amazing start. What an eye for goal he's got. I think the criticism would have been his finishing when he first came in, or people were sort of went, he panics in front of goal.
He can finish.
Saw that against Galatasaray. But I would say he goes up there alongside. And red card or not, I think he still should have held that shirt up.
Next up.
No.
Djellab, you talk us through this one. When he arrived, where would you have had him, and where would you have him now?
We spent all summer, I think, talking about United needing a striker. They then spent a lot of money on a striker, and I think possibly that meant they didn't spend any money on their midfield, which to me was a big issue for United. I felt all summer it was this glaring issue. We've gone into this season, and it's the biggest talking point, really. And I feel basically bringing him in for the fee that it cost meant that they weren't able to improve that midfield. As a player, as a position that was needed, I think it was a B. I feel like it's tough to say an A because he himself was still this player that was building a career for himself, trying to find his feet, and joining a club like Manchester United, when they're going for a tough time. There's a lot of pressure to stick on to him. So at the start of the season, I would have said a B. He's had moments. He's had moments. Obviously managed to get his first goal as well. I still think there's a lot of stuff that needs to kind of happen for him and development for him.
Is that his fault or the players
That's what I mean.
around him?
I think that's more of a club issue in how Manchester United are performing at the moment. So I would happily kind of have him within B-C range, to be honest. Like that's
Loz,
where I'd sit.
make a decision.
It wasn't expensive. We've got to remember, he was a lot of money.
I don't remember how much he was exactly, but I know he was quite
£73.7 million we've got him down as roughly, but obviously that's
add-ons.
depending on who you read. And
I think Darwin Nunez sort of reset the bar as to what that amount of money means for him. So I don't mind it that much. I'm going to put him in C for now, but actually I think that's fairly harsh on him again.
Okay.
C for me is a harsh category.
Okay, next up.
This guy.
I've been impressed with him.
Really? Love him.
I think he's been great for Manchester United so far, out of all the players they've brought in. Loz, though, where would you assess him?
So I think the main issue is most people go at the moment by clips from the internet and the bad clips. And there are some clips that he has where, he's done the wrong thing or he's not quite moved in the right way within the system. I would put him in B because I think a lot of people maybe wanted one of these guys to kick on faster. And this is like, you needed to kick on. And you have to be in like the kick on area to get into A. He's not quite there yet for me.
Happy with that, Djellab?
Yeah, I think so. I've always been a big fan of Bryan Mbeumo, so I think B's absolutely fine.
I think he's great, yeah.
Big Nick.
Get him in A.
I agree.
Get him in A. This boy is some footballer. And we've got to remember as well, when Newcastle obviously sold Isak, there was a lot of issues there. Fans weren't happy. They kind of went through different strikers and who they wanted to bring in as well. We saw that kind of happen through a lot of reports and not maybe get their man all the time. And they've since, even once he joined Newcastle, still had criticism from the Bundesliga about spending as much money as they did on him. But he is some footballer. For someone as tall as he is, he's so technically gifted, brilliant on the ball, likes to drop deep. I'm genuinely really, really impressed with him. I think a lot of fans would have not necessarily known too much about him when he first joined and have been like pleasantly surprised.
And the fact I think he's in A is also testament to Newcastle.
Testament to Eddie Howe, man.
And
the job he's
testament
done.
to Eddie Howe. I think overall, just the way that Newcastle have kind of welcomed him in, and obviously there's a slightly sort of spiteful tail to it towards another player, but the way they've kind of wrapped their arms around him and gone, you're our guy now, helps him with confidence because you hit the ground running if you've got a bunch of fans that go, go on, do it for us, lad.
Cunha.
Injuries.
Yeah, it's you know what, Matheus Cunha, I liked the move. I think it was a really good move. They need a bit of like physicality in that attack. I think he definitely brought that in there. Have things maybe gone as well for him as I would have hoped? Probably not. But again, that kind of goes back to the club.
A bit
really,
there as well.
we are. I
think
think so. And so I kind of feel like he's maybe not had as good a start as Bryan Mbeumo. Which is with him being in B, does that mean he has to go into C? I don't know. Where do you think, Loz?
I think injuries make it a little bit harsh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking forward, I think he's going to be a much better signing. And that's probably where obviously you'd then move these guys up. But again, I think Cunha is a great signing for United, and he was a real statement of intent from my perspective.
Feels like he's a bit of a shining light for Manchester United in the distance. Some positivity will come at some point.
Yeah, they hope so. They definitely hope so, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's funny that like we're talking about these signings have been, B, possibly A, or C for Sesko, but again saying maybe he should be slightly higher. And then you look at the table for Manchester United, how performances have been, they haven't been that strong. However, I think, with looking towards the future and for whatever attack may form for United, these 3 players on the board right now are all going to be crucial parts of that, playing basically every minute possible. So I think that's not a bad front 3 to have.
No D's or E's yet.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
It's harsh though.
There's not going to be many today.
It's so early in the season.
Eberechi.
Sadly, this guy's not going to buck the trend. I think he's going straight into A. I think the second he stepped on the pitch against Liverpool, the match changed. He was incredible. He's great from wide. He's great from the centre. He completely changes the dynamic of their midfield and the dynamic of their attack. He's not even shown half of his potential yet. And the second that Arsenal got him, everyone in the league worried about
You just knew, didn't you? It's so rare to look at transfer happen and be like, that is a guaranteed success. Eberechi Eze to Arsenal felt like, and even when he was linked to Spurs, whichever club got him, it was going to be successful.
He said, though, that he feels like he's just at home. Has there ever been a more Arsenal signing, it feels, than Eze? He's hit the ground running.
He really has. And I think even just seeing, for him, making his Champions League debut, featuring in that kind of competition, that's the level of player he is. I mean, it's going to be so interesting to see whether he features in the England team for the World Cup in a couple of months' time. But yeah,
I think as well, even against Newcastle, I thought Arsenal was so dominant in that game. He could have scored 2-3 goals. There was some unbelievable work by Nick Pope in goal to keep him out.
But again, we've mentioned all these players. He himself, he looks so comfortable already. And again, it's still adapting. He's only going to get better in this Arsenal team once all the other players around him know how he plays, once he knows how they play. He's only going to get better in this team.
I think the same could be said for the next person here. Honestly, I think across the last couple of games, I've seen really positive signs from Viktor Gyokeres. His hold-up play in particular.
Right, so hold-up play, and then a lot of people, including Alex Moneypenny's been on the show, quite a lot have been pointing out the use of his runs and kind of how Arsenal can do that better. As with all the strikers on here, it is a case of the team getting used to playing with them. And I definitely feel that he's one of these examples, right?
He's got 3 and 6. Is today, they're playing West Ham. Is this the sort of game where I see Viktor Gyokeres thriving here?
No, it is.
I think he's going to run teams ragged.
I agree. I think those games, we've seen it already against Leeds, we saw it against Forest. Those are the games that he finds his goals. Where I struggle a little bit with Viktor Gyokeres is seeing him. I want to see him perform in these big matches. When you are playing Manchester City, when you are playing Liverpool, these are the games where if you are this 60, 70 million pound man, we want to see you score these goals. We want to see you in these moments. Again, look. It's so early in the season. He's only been playing for a few times. I think you're seeing that as well. I mentioned it with Eze. He himself, I think the team around him are they're not used to necessarily playing with a very kind of out-and-out striker like he is. And so I think there is still going to be this adaptation period. I feel like putting him in C would be harsh. I think it probably is a B for me. If someone made an argument for A, I would maybe put my hands up.
Can you make an argument, Loz?
No, sadly. But I can make an argument for B because I think he's a very solid student.
Yeah, and the fee was not as crazy as some people were talking about.
No.
I think it was rise to £63 million, but it wasn't. An initial fee was even lower than that. So let's put him in B, and we'll go to Joao Pedro. Djellab, you may as well take this one on.
Love it.
I mean, he has been very, very good. I think what's also helped with him as well, because he played at the Club World Cup and had such an impact at the Club World Cup, we've all kind of noticed that even more so. I'm slightly worried about maybe injuries, possibly. He had a bit of a bad time at Brighton. Supposedly he didn't want to play against Brentford as well because of that, but he did. And so I don't want him to kind of fatigue out, especially with obviously Liam Delap being out. He might be having to play more than he'd like, and Cole Palmer now possibly being out for a little while. However, brilliant footballer, kind of a fantastic footballer, whether he is playing in that 9 position or the 10 position, at times can even play out on the left, technically fantastic, physically really strong as well. That's something I probably didn't realise enough until, when he was at Brighton, until he joined Chelsea. For me, he's an A. I am a Chelsea fan.
Loz?
I would also agree with A. I think his impact has been fairly evident. It was exactly the signing that they needed, outside of obviously, going out there and spending 130 million on a massive striker. So I'm going to say A. Do you guys, your faces, mate?
I would put him in A. Yeah, I'd say A.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, we've got to take the Club World Cup into account a little bit as well. Scoring goals in the final of that competition. I think he scored 3 across the whole competition, didn't he? So
I don't think it's quite the Premier League, but it's a good competition.
No,
Fantastic competition.
Next up, Mohammed Kudus.
I love him as a player. I'm very often maybe, but especially initially with signings, taken by the eye test, and he certainly passes the eye test. Like, this guy does everything that Spurs need. He's that dynamic player that I think a lot of people think, well, Kulusevski could be this guy. And when they miss that bit of movement, I remember watching them a few times live last season and just thinking they look quite static. He's the opposite of static, and he solves a lot of those problems. And obviously mixed with this manager, he's even more exciting.
Yeah, Spurs fans at the moment absolutely adore him. They absolutely adore him. I was speaking, rightly so, because everything's going through him. They're actually saying that's slightly an issue at the moment now, because teams are realising Mohammed Kudus out of the game, and it becomes a lot tougher for Spurs to kind of have anything go their way. He is really, really good. We kind of knew he was really good at West Ham. He had a fantastic season. I know last season wasn't so good, but I think there are bigger issues at hand there. A, B for me is roughly where I'd be looking.
Looking ahead in this squad, obviously Maddison injured. He could be someone for Tottenham this season that is pivotal if they want to achieve more than just European football.
Completely agree. And I also think that he steps up their expectation of what signings should be able to do. I think Spurs is about mentality change at the moment, and him coming in and hitting the ground running, I think that shows you can go to Spurs and you can be an impactful Premier League player.
Yeah.
You're going to need to put him in A. Sorry to make Chelsea guy put him in.
We'll put him in A.
Wow.
Sorry about that.
A's getting a lot of positivity.
We might have to move a few of these to make room and age. He is really, really good. Like Anthony Elanga, like Newcastle.
What about Elanga?
Newcastle's transfer business. Like, there was so much spoken about. I kind of mentioned it with Woltemade. There was so much spoken kind of around the players they didn't sign. But when you do look at the players they did bring in, they managed to bring in some really, really good quality.
Yeah.
For years, we've spoken about this right wing as being an issue. Not necessarily an issue, because Murphy was so good last year, but about maybe finding more depth for that right wing position. Even when Almiron was playing out there was always being spoken about as a position that would need. And I really think they found the key for it in Elanga.
I think the issue with Newcastle this summer was almost that they, again, no one's telling Newcastle to get back in their box or any of these things. I think they very much need to aim very, very high as a club. But there are stepping stones to get up there. And for me, Elanga, Woltemade, they seem like those kind of players where it's like you've got a very high ceiling, but you're actually very accessible.
Yeah.
And I think this summer they were trying to access a few players, and it didn't work out.
How good was he in the Champions League?
I was about to say that. If you look at him and the competitions they're playing in, you need players like Elanga to...
Belief.
There you are.
Right.
Where's he going?
Where's he going? Yeah.
I'm going to say B.
Really?
Only because...
Zach wants to put him in A.
Would you put him in B over Kudus? I feel like he's had a better start to the season than Kudus has.
I just think... You know what? You kind of tempted me. I would kind of say like B+, sadly. There is no B+. Do you just want... Are you saying
3 assists in 6 games, by the way?
I'm just trying to think
playing
who else
really well.
Let's put him in A. If we've got to move anyone afterwards, we'll move anyone afterwards.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of positivity on a Saturday morning, is there?
No,
Let's go
absolutely
to the
not.
next one.
Speaking of positivity, Yoane Wissa, again, if injuries or just being availability overall is...
It's an injury setback this week as well. He's going to be out for another month or so.
So I sort of feel bad for him grading him. I don't think you can't really say, he's going to be injured for his whole career because he's been injured in the first couple of weeks. I actually thought of him, I don't think of him as an A signing, but I felt it was a very solid B in terms of replacing the input of what they had before. You know, we've got to replace it in the aggregate. That's right. So, and that's what they did with this guy and Woltemade up there. And I think overall you've got 2 players who have a big impact on the side.
I'd like to see them play together. When they play together, I think that's going to be like super, super interesting. But I think for now, especially with the setback, probably a C. Really, I feel like D's probably a little bit too harsh for it.
I mean,
or would you put him into D?
We haven't seen much of Isak though, and you've got Isak in A.
Yeah, but with that was more weighted towards the actual signing.
And the future of Isak is going to be...
The future of Wissa not really high?
It's going to be good.
It's going to
be good, but it's not like... Isak could be one of the best players in the league. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to sit here... It is harsh, but I don't think I can...
A run of games for Wissa, though, do you think he could have the impact that maybe not Isak's going to have, but someone like Woltemade or them 2 together could really help each other?
Be really, really good, but I feel like right now we've not seen him at all.
Okay, you're cool.
So Zach's putting him in D?
Oh, no, C for me, C for me.
Wow, okay.
Let's be careful. Let's be careful here.
I think this next one is the perfect example of this list. When it was first announced as a move, there was some scepticism.
I didn't get it.
I think he has been.
I think there was scepticism within the Arsenal fan base.
Yes.
Though. I think if you ask a lot of other people, they would have said it was a good move.
Exactly.
Depth on the right wing was always an issue for Arsenal. We saw when Saka was injured last year.
There was question marks over the signing, though, at the time.
For sure.
But genuinely, who from?
I think from certain sects of the Arsenal fan base.
For Arsenal fan base, I agree. Because obviously, his best position is right wing. Saka plays right wing. He's amazing there. But we've seen that Saka, they need to be careful about how often they're playing him and kind of when he is injured and coming back from injury, not rushing him back. With Noni Madueke, and it's a shame because now he's out for a few months. But with Noni Madueke there, that is the perfect blend. He can play on the left as well. Like there are so many different ways to use him. When he first made the move, I questioned it over the fact that it was a lot of money to put towards a player who isn't maybe going to be starting week in, week out, but I think it's already shown that he is, and for me, probably A.
Yeah,
Some of the players you put up there, surely, by the way, he's got to go in.
He's had a few players on toast since he's come to the club.
Yes.
Not least, I think, if you look at Liverpool's backline.
Yeah.
So I think he's an A player, but the problem
He's
is
exciting for the future as well, for this season.
Yeah, you forget how young he is.
Get him up then, come on, put him in A.
Again, Zach, do you want to put him up there? Just
You are running out of room now.
I've always been a fan of Madueke.
Really?
Nobody else in A, right?
Okay, A's getting a
Zach,
little bit
speaking
Jamie
of people
Gittens.
you're a fan of.
Gittens is a tough one because Jimmy Gittens went in. I think that's hard.
Yeah.
Because Gittens basically hasn't played a lot of football yet, and he didn't necessarily play loads of football when he was at Dortmund either. Like he's still a developing player. And I think if you think of Chelsea starting 11 right now, he's probably not in it just yet. Like you want to see him develop a little bit more.
Do you think he would have been annoyed a little bit at the signing of Garnacho? He's going to come in and compete on that left wing spot for that role. Pedro Neto can also, and has this season operated on the left wing.
Yeah.
Where does the role and what does the future look like for Jamie Gittens when there's a player like Garnacho?
No, for sure. In all honesty, I don't know. Like, I have no clue. Like, obviously, he played in the Champions League against Benfica, and you can see there is potential in him. I think I think where you want to see the development come from is the final decision, whether he's going to take on the man, whether he's going to have the shot or make the pass. I feel like sometimes you watch him and it's still a little bit like he's thinking too much around it.
Do you ever feel that way just about Maresca ball, though? Like, there are times where I watch Maresca's football and I think, I'm not quite sure the decision that this player is going to make here.
But I think one of the best things about Maresca ball is he gets them into the right areas, and that's where he relies on the player to make the decision. That's the freedom in it.
And that's why Cole Palmer thrives.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. And also while Noni Madueke had a good time, I think, as well. I think that's where it's just going to take a little bit of time. Chelsea have a lot of games to play this season. There's going to be minutes around there for him. I feel like
D's hard.
D is harsh. I think, look, it was also a lot of money, but for me battling my cause, I want him in C.
Zach knows he'll be interviewing him soon.
There is always this possibility. There is always this
training ground on Monday morning.
Let's put him in C. We'll do very quickly Xavi Simons.
All right, fine.
Last
Xavi,
one.
I think inspired signing.
I thought he was this. I thought he was A.
Right. I would say B, but I think he's got the potential to be A.
Okay.
I think that's a great assessment.
All right, so as you can see, it's been a very positive morning.
We're 6 games in.
On Saturday Social, isn't it? Like you said,
7 games in.
I was
it's
trying to
only
find
6 games
anyone.
in, isn't it? There were other names to come, but we can get through them all. Let us know what you think of the boys' suggestions. They're going to continue going into the break, I think. They're going to continue going well into